right? Because in the age of artificial intelligence, what is happening is we're actually going into a higher spiral. And most people can't see it because we're thinking of the negatives of what's happening in the world, right? And so when we think about technology, you're thinking it from a negative perspective, you're going to lose because you're going to miss the bigger picture. Human beings have been forced to do labor for other human beings for thousands and thousands of years. This means that most people never get to reach their potential because they started off at a lower spiral, right? They started off at a lower class, right? This class consciousness has been a war upon, eons, centuries, right? For a very long time. We've been trying to break out of this class consciousness spell. And anytime we do, what happens is those who are considered to be the elite, what they do is they sprinkle division amongst the people to divide them. So it takes them off their focus. So therefore, the class consciousness spell has never been broken. So you always have people at the bottom that are the lower. Those who don't have that much consciousness, those who are stuck in the survival, who never get to the point of actualizing, right? So now that you cannot actualize, right, you cannot live fully. Therefore, the collective human beings, as human beings, we don't move forward. There's different spheres on this planet Earth. One of them is called the noosphere. The noosphere is the sphere of thinking. It's the sphere of consciousness on this planet Earth, right? You got the ionosphere, stratosphere, biosphere. You learn about these things in school. But the sphere of consciousness that rules, similar to a person would think about the cloud of the internet, that became a whole new thing, right? But when we're talking about human consciousness and trying to supersede where we currently are, and as we're studying technology, what we're looking at is a new evolution of human beings. Because what happens is human beings continue to go to complexity, right? From boson particles to atoms to cells. Those cells forms into becoming whole human beings. And each level, right, there's a higher level of complexity that evolves. Human beings have been stuck, right, experiencing physical reality and dreaming, right, in the noosphere, dreaming in the idea, right, of, what could be, but never being able to actualize that into reality. So we've been sold collective visions of where to put our minds at, like the American dream. They force-fed you an idea of reality. Get a car, get a house, get a family. And then while you were busy dreaming, they stole that dream from you. And now that's not possible because, right, the car and the house is so expensive, you have to spend most of your life just working for it. Then they throw extra interest on top of that. Then they throw taxes on top of that, right? Then you have maintenance on top of that because they're not making them as good as they can so that you have to continue to buy into a system. This is the matrix itself, right? It makes you feel like you're winning while having to maintain and maintenance that win forever. So you end up getting to a certain point of life, and then the rest of your life is just working to stay there, not to continue to ascend. Right? And so the human collective is tired. The human collective is trying to accelerate the end of this cycle in reality. Right? Human beings are tired of systems. Even the evil are tired of the systems. They're trying to accelerate the downfall. Everybody's actually working to the same goal, but by different means. Because while one person is working for the downfall of democracy, systems, institutions, they still want to be the ones who run whatever the next system is. While the other ones want it to end because it feels like a nightmare that's on repetition that they can't get out of because they haven't learned the lesson of the current cycle. So here we are, as a collective, all fighting for the next stage of evolution. Then here comes technology. Technology is going to reach a point where we're going to be in consistent awe of it. But we can't believe our eyes. We can't believe the things that it's able to do, how it's able to spit out our imagination infinitely. And we're going to go from this state of unease into a state of just awe, drawing inspiration from it. And once we get there, the focus won't be how do I hoard attention, but how do I control my own attention? Because there's so many things for us to give our attention away to. Then it will change the game from companies trying to just steal your attention to them actually trying to help you protect it, control it, harness it, focus it, to be in a constant state of calm, to calm your nervous system, because it will start focusing on the cognitive renaissance, right? Where we're focused on the quality of consciousness while we're living, because everything else will be done for us. But imagine being in a state of anxiety while living in a utopia. It's no longer a utopia, is it? Not until your consciousness is cleansed, right? And so the focus is, how do we unify systems to create harmonic convergence, right? To where just a small group of people focusing on the same thing intensifies the willfulness and the ability to manifest that into reality, right? Hundreds and thousands of times over than when a single individual does it. It's sort of like when Goku was always fighting against impossible odds, and he would do a spirit bomb, and he would collect the spirit of the collective. And that allowed him, even though he was pulling from beings that he was infinitely stronger than, he could also defeat beings that were infinitely stronger than him. And that's where we are today. Because as we create these machines and they do things to where, like yesterday, OpenAI just released a SDK agent builder, which allows you to chain stitch and automate all of these apps into one, where you can build apps. You can go from asking the AI what to do, right, to, or asking the AI questions and inquiring and being inquisitive with the AI, to telling it what to do and it doing it for you. So this is where we go as human beings, so where we interact with this internet, and this internet is giving us information. Instead, we're now telling and talking to the phone to execute for us. Hey phone, can you do this? Hey AI, can you do that? Right? And so now our ideas are no longer limited by our own laziness, because now we have the machines to do the physical labor for us. But the mental task is still there. The ability to get into deep work, to chunk blocks, right? To where your attention is focused on concentration, which is a prolonged period of focus, right? To manifest things into reality. Because as I've said at the beginning of this AI thing, what happens when you have the smartest people in the world working for you? What will you tell them to do? What will you tell them to do? Do you have big enough orders for it? Or your own willfulness and dreams are too small that the utility of the machines has outpaced the imagination and the will of the human being? Because otherwise you will waste the very abilities of the machine. You have a genius working for you, but does your mind imaginative enough? Because you don't have to be smarter than the person working for you, but your imagination has to be great. What can you imagine now? Because what happens is when you put a globe in a collective survival mode, their imagination becomes stifled. Because they're thinking about what they need to do instead of what they want to do. So now by the time they get a tool that can actually do whatever they want it to do, they actually don't have something for it to do. Now, this is the great dilemma that we currently face in society, right? The increasing of consciousness to a point. And so many people we're so stuck in our own lives that we can't see that we are in a world so far beyond last year, so far beyond 2020, so far beyond the 1990s, the 80s, the 70s, that world no longer exists, and we're living in the imagination of scientists. We're living in the imagination of scientists. And if you want to get the highest level of resources on this planet Earth, the highest level of power, you aggregate and you bring all those resources together. Because chain stitching AIs is it's like taking one smart person, connecting them to another resource, right? And then seeing what they build together. Peace to the God, Yusuf. But the problem is that human beings are not unified. We all have gifts, skills, and talents. Our gifts, skills, and talents are used in competition with each other, not in collaboration with each other. If they were in competition, if they were in cooperation and collaboration, it was strong bonds. Each bond, right, as we're pulling towards each other, has a magnetic force. That magnetic force allows you to have a stronger electrical attractive energy. The closer the bond, the more the attractive energy, right? Because although we're being pulled together, there's a slight force that is also pushing us apart, just in the law of magnetism. So in between that is creating heat, right? It's creating electricity. And so when human beings are collectively bonded together, highly aligned as communities, those bonds become powerful. It's similar to looking at an atomic bomb. That atomic bomb is taking and cracking those atoms and creating vast explosions more powerful than anything. But what happens if that's done on a constructive level? You think about the vast destructive power of an atom bomb. But now think about the opposite. Imagine if that power was, instead of destructive, it was constructive. That it built worlds instead of destroyed worlds. And it took the world that it was and replaced it with a better one. That is precisely what the power of unity has the ability to do. Now, if we want to look at a close example of this, we will look at rural China, places that were just rice farms. In these spaces that were just rice farms, over the last 10, 20 years, they've been able to turn these into technological centers of the world. How did they do it so fast? Because everybody got aligned. They understood who their enemy was, which is the West. And although they had their old ways, they allowed those old ways, right, to be dominated with new thought. They was able to create more millionaires and billionaires than ever, all through unity. And they did it within a span of like 10 years, 10, 20 years, I would say. China wasn't what it is today, but look at it what it is now. It's collective empowerment. Now, we as a people, let's say black people, because even when we count that 1.7 trillion, we're not even counting our brown brothers and sisters in there. We have the power of a nation. We have the power of a nation, a small country, or a large country, I would say. Large as France or any other country you can think of. The only thing that we haven't done is we haven't structured and created infrastructure with those resources and knowledge. There was a stat that came out that 300,000 black women have lost their jobs. Okay, who are they going to work for now? Who are they going to work for now? All of that knowledge, some of them are system builders. Some of them are designers, organizers, right? They have great skill and great ability, but who are they going to work for now? See, if we can organize that human resource, then how fast could we build our own alternative systems? Every time we look at something, there's two ways to look at it. We can look at it from the negative. The negative is an invert way of thinking about things, right? We can say, oh my God, they lost those jobs. Or we can say, oh my God, we just gained new workforce. The problem is that us as men, we have to do better because, and us as a black nation, if you will, have to do better because when we see an opportunity, we should be able to scoop them up, right? And say, okay, we can use that to power our nation. We now have AI tools that allow you to optimize human performance by 50 to 100%. Meaning that if you're paying somebody $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year, right? You should be able to get $120,000, right? Or $80,000 worth for that person between however much you pour into them. If you're working a job for somebody and you're not doubling their money, right? Then you're wasting their money and they should get rid of you. It's that simple of where we at today in life. Because by learning AI, you should be able to optimize your position that you have, which gives you job security. But if you're working for people just to collect a check, you're robbing them, right? Therefore, they have to make a business decision. If getting rid of you saves them money and makes them money, right, then they should get rid of you. Because human beings no longer want, not all of us, but a lot of human beings no longer want to work. They just want to extract value but not add to it, right? And so this is also going to be a great downfall of the workplace, right? And the human resource, because human beings no longer want to work at a high level. Those who do that are still passionate about what they do and still are learning, those are the ones of us that are still evolving. And those who are evolving, you understand me? Those who are growing, those who are learning, those who are developing in their consciousness and their gifts, their skills, and their talent, those are the ones that are worthy of still working with and for other human beings. The rest of the labor force would be destroyed. Not because they have to, it's because it's your will as well. Otherwise, you would work differently at your job. I've hired a lot of people and everybody doesn't know how to work to create value. People only think about doing one mundane task. It's like you're not even a human being. It's like you're a low-level robot. Because a high-level robot, we know, will be doing above and beyond. They will be thinking about the bottom line, right? How do I continue to increase value here? But a low-level human being will just grab a job and say, how do I get paid at the end of the day? Do just enough, and that's it. So therefore, you never get a raise, you never get promoted, you never have an opportunity to gain equity, you never can become a partner in a company, right? You can never develop your own because you don't even learn the lessons how to be a good worker, so you don't know how to be a good leader.